Coming to you live from Egypt, it's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and by putting this on, you have started a chain reaction that could bring about the next apocalypse. With me this week, first, if I were to say to you, I'm a stranger travelling from the east, seeking that which is lost, Chris.
He's forgot. I would say Haku Machente.
Oh, right. I thought you might have said, I'm a stranger travelling from the west. It is I whom you seek. I thought you might have said.
Apparently, I couldn't remember all that stuff.
I thought you might. You were the one I thought would be able to do it. And secondly, if there's going to be any hysterics, they'll come from him. It's Andy.
That's pretty team, that one.
Well, they don't really insult each other in this family-friendly action-adventure movie here. They're quite nice, pleasant to each other. I don't feel like we'll be pleasant to many of them throughout, but we'll see where that goes. We're the 10 Point Podcast. You can find us everywhere that get podcasts in the entire world of the internet. Type in 10 Point Podcast on the internet. You'll find some source at which you can hear our episodes on various podcast platforms and see our episodes on, I would say, various video platforms, but it's mainly YouTube, and you can see us on Spotify as well.
Spotify.
You get video versions over there too. We have 10pointpodcast.com, which, as I say, we've been commissioned for another however many seasons it was, because
6 seasons.
6 seasons of this, because 10 Point Podcast.
6 seasons in a movie.
I
wonder who's going to play us in the movie.
I feel like it would have to be us, because we keep casting ourselves. So it is more what could go wrong in a recording session of the podcast that would lead into a movie.
What's happened is we'd cast ourselves and Andrew would get Ryan Reynolds to rock up as him.
That'd be awesome. Look at me. The movie should be the quest to get Ryan Reynolds to guest on the podcast. Go on this sort of Jane, Silent Bob across the world to get him to come.
We're definitely doing that. That's how we're ending this. We're going to get all the budget, all the sponsorship money, and we're just going to go on a quest to get Ryan Reynolds to be in the podcast.
Sounds good. So that'll be in 6 seasons' time, or maybe 12, I don't know. Either way, 10 Point Podcast, that's us, that's what we do. Before we get on to this podcast episode this week, a quick highlight of the last week. Does anyone have anything especially pertinent they want to hit with their highlight of the week?
Well, I went on a Gerard Butler-a-thon over the past couple of weeks, because remember, I've been going, what have I been watching? Apparently, I've been randomly watching Gerard Butler films. Who knew? So I ended that with his new film, Plane. Which is Gerard Butler on a plane.
Apparently there's a sequel being commissioned, and it's called...
Plane.
No, it's called Ship. It's not called. So I don't think it'll work the way around them all or whatever, but carry on.
It's one of these films where I can't talk about it too much, but it's not what you think it is. It's a plane disaster movie with a twist. And I quite liked the twist. It was something different.
Good.
So,
thumbs up.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say, other than watch it, because if I say anything about it, I'll ruin it.
Oh, that perfect. I cannot explain how perfect a link that is to what I have watched in the last week. Because I have watched, basically in the last, not last week, but in the last few weeks, the first 2 seasons of Lost, a plane crash with a twist. Because Jade had never seen it at all. Well, she thinks she's seen some of the first half when I
Make sure you stop when the polar bear arrives.
Well, that's episode 1, I think, the polar bear.
Well, no, the polar bear kind of comes in, like, is it season 3? There's a bit more polar bear action.
Could be right. I think we might just have had that episode.
Right, that's where you want to stop. It gets down after that.
See, what I have said to her, so spoiler for anyone who has not seen Lost, I know it's like 10 years old now or something like that, probably more than that, 15 years old, but Jade hasn't seen it. But I've said to her, when we get to the end of season 3, you can stop. And I'm saying, I recommend when we get to the last scene of season 3, which for those who know, that's when Jack says we have to go back to the island. And I was like, at that point, you can just stop. It never gets any better from there. And that's the ending if you want. But at this point, she's so into it. She's like, I need to watch another episode. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So I think she's going to go the full 6. Be sorely disappointed and then maybe never come back. But so Lost.
As a recaster on that, I'm definitely Sawyer. He had the right idea when that plane went down.
Oh.
Take everything and bury it.
Yeah, Sawyer, like for me personally, it's Saeed. To this point, Saeed has never been wrong about anything in the entire series so far. They listen to him about a quarter of the time, and the rest of the 3/4 of the time, somebody dies, and they have to go back to him and be like, "Oh, sorry, Saeed, what was your plan again?" The whole time.
I'm also still waiting for when those numbers come up in the lottery, and like the jackpot is like 10 quid. Everybody's got it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Lost. It's the first season is a bit of a slog. But so I would recommend, if you ever want to watch Lost again, just start with the 3-part finale to season 1, because you basically remember who everybody is. And that 3-part finale is full on, what's happening with the hatch, what's happening with the others, what's happening with the island, and then go to season 2, and season 2 is the great twisty turny, what the hell's going on, and then maybe finish season 3. But I haven't got that far yet. But yeah, it's a good return. It's been long enough that I forget what happens in each episode. I remember the overarching kind of stories.
You could have just watched Prison Break.
Well, that's the thing. On watching
absolute
on Disney Plus, it was the next thing like recommended was Prison Break, and I'm like, oh well, I might move on to that once we've done our Lost thing. So I might finally get at least season 1 of Prison Break watched at some point.
I could watch that and repeat season 1. It's banging.
Cool. And then I will get at some point in between Lost catch up. I will get The Last of Us caught up because I've still only seen the premiere, which I enjoyed, but I haven't.
Oh, episode 5.
That's I've heard as well. 3 and 5 are the ones apparently. So that's my highlight is Lost. A good 20-year-old show. Chris, what about you?
Well, I'll quickly just say episode 5 of The Last of Us. Probably the best one yet. But I finally got into watching the Black Panther. I wish I hadn't.
There you go.
It's crap. Do you know when you watch the film, you're like, I'm going to make a cup of coffee, and like your partner will say, do you want me to pause it? No, you're all right.
Yeah. I have that.
And I never came back. I went and like did the dishes. I went upstairs, tidied up, and I came back and I was like, okay.
I've been doing that with the like the Charlie flashbacks on Lost. When it's a Charlie episode, it goes, I can go get a cup of tea now, and I'm like, okay, I come back. It's like, but yeah, Wakanda Forever, the new Black Panther. Yes, lots of good about it, but lots of very mediocre about it.
I'm gonna spoil it. What's the point of a Black Panther film without a Black Panther?
There's a Black Panther there.
There's a Black Panther in it, yeah.
I like 40 minutes from the end.
But then the Black Panther wasn't the Black Panther. Oh no, he was. That's a bad example. Some of the Marvel movies, they aren't that hero the whole time either. So it's,
the sequels are. Anyway, yeah, I would avoid it. It's pish.
That's Chris's highlight. A pish movie, which we didn't say would happen.
I think by next week's podcast, I will be discussing the newest Marvel movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oh well, I've seen a non-spoiler review of it. It doesn't bode well.
Right. Okay.
What? The non-spoiler review I read was, magnificent CGI, over the top, too much at times. Paul Rudd and the guy that plays Kang act the shit out of it. We've lost Bruce. He's
Jonathan.
There you go.
Oh my.
Come back. There you're back, Chris.
I'm nodding. I wasn't.
Yeah. So they act the shit out of it, but it's just a hot mess and doesn't have any direction. And the last bit of the review is the bit that put me off, because I've been saying for about 3 years now, since Endgame finished, that this has to be the film to actually get them on the path. And if it doesn't, Marvel are in serious trouble.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I was not that interested in the Flash movie, but they were maintaining that it was coming out.
You sort yourself out, Bruce. Jesus.
And then I've seen I know what the mental guy who plays the Flash has been about, and I'm like, okay, this is maybe a bit weird. I've now seen the trailer, and I'm like, I want to see this movie now. And so
Batman hasn't aged a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm gonna get 2 Batmans.
I think you're gonna get 3. I'm the same.
Well, the suggestion is
there, not there.
The suggestion I have heard and has been implied is that this movie it is essential this movie comes out because this is what is going to basically retcon all of DC, so that they can start fresh again. So like I'm looking forward to it from that point of view as well. So they're just going to chuck everything at it and be like, okay, start fresh.
I should have brought a movie news podcast out this one. There's actually news to talk about.
Yeah, Super Bowl trailers.
Super Bowl trailer season.
Guardians trailer has me as less excited than I was before. I'm just like,
I'm actually not for it. It looks sad, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and there's at least a couple of them are not making out of it, and I could guess which ones, but let's leave it there for the time being. There you go, some highlights, some new, some old, and some upcoming to get excited about. On to the point of the podcast this week. The point number 1 is the 2001 action-adventure fantasy thriller, apparently, The Mummy Returns, the sequel to The Mummy. Both written and directed by Stephen Sommers. He returned with a new script and a new direction to make the sequel. Stars back as Rick O'Connell, Brendan Fraser, in his most famous role I've written down here. I can't think of a more famous Brendan Fraser role.
George of the Jungle.
George of the Jungle was the only other one I could come up with before he's now Oscar nominated for being in The Whale. So that might become, I don't know, looking back, maybe his most famous role. But yeah, for me.
You're welcome, Brendan Fraser.
Exactly. Yeah, we've relaunched his career. I said, Chris, did you pick The Mummy, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking full credit for it.
Cool.
This is like up there with
Co-starring.
Devin. Remember we did Devin Sawa? He came back out of nowhere.
Absolutely. Happens all the time. The one for me was Shelley Duvall, who hadn't acted in 30 years. The Shining issue because they're a new movie next week or something like that. So, yeah. Co-starring, also returning as Evelyn, Rachel Weisz, in possibly her most famous role as well. I couldn't name you anything she's more famous. She did win an Oscar for The Constant Gardener, but I've absolutely not seen that, so that's not something to me. And she was nominated a couple of years ago for The Favourite, but that was like an all-star cast, so she didn't stand out as that one there. But I think Rachel Weisz, most famous for being in this, and I guess being Daniel Craig's wife, is another thing that she's kind of
Is she?
She was. I'm not up on my Hollywood gossip that they were certainly married at one point. And a third returning co-star as Jonathan, John Hannah. You'll probably say his most famous role, I would say, but his most famous role is actually 4 Weddings and a Funeral. I would say he's one of the kind of one of the most memorable characters in that. So, Scottish actor John Hannah there. There are 3 main stars, all returning, so I won't go too deep into all of them beyond that. The Mummy returns on a budget of $98 million in 2001. Opened in the US for $68 million. Final US gross, $202 million. Final worldwide, $443 million this made around the globe. So basically 4 times what it cost to make. Which makes me wonder why they never went for a full-blown third one. Unless I'm totally mistaken. With everybody in it, all the main stars.
Brendan Fraser's in it. She didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
And the mummy does not return again, so they went with a Chinese mummy.
Yeah, I was trying to find some way. I don't know how much it is a meme for everybody, but for me, somehow Palpatine returned as a meme that shows up in some videos. I wanted to have somehow the mummy returned in my.
See if they did a Mummy 4 and they got Rachel Weisz back and somehow got the mummy to come back, it would blow everybody's mind.
That's the thing. Like Arnold Vosloo never really dies. It's just like apparently he could just keep coming back. I mean, he came back pretty easy in this film. I'm sure we'll get on to.
Very simply, and at the end, I don't think he was. We didn't see him die. Spoiler alert for the end of the film. We didn't see him die. He was just.
He just gets pulled down by a bunch of random, I don't know,
demon
hands.
Yeah, demon hands. I don't know what they are.
So yeah, there could be another one. But yeah, with making that much money, I'm surprised not everybody wanted to go back, unless they lowballed Rachel Weisz and she was like, "Nah, I'm worth more than that." So that might be the answer. Unless she was making Constant Gardener and winning Oscars, and I'm above that. The Mummy Returns, released May the 4th, 2001, before it was a Star Wars only kind of day. Released in the UK 2 weeks later, on the 18th of May. Made it qualified for one of those awkward ones where it's sort of 2001, sort of 2002, because it came out early summer one year. 2002 Oscars. 2002 Oscars, no nominations. Mummy Returns. 2002 Golden Raspberry Awards, also no nominations. So not widely thought of as the best or the worst. But the 2002 Saturn Awards did acknowledge The Mummy Returns with 4 nominations. Best special effects, it lost to AI, artificial intelligence.
Was the best.
Best makeup, lost to Hannibal, which I can only presume is purely because only Ray Liotta had his head chopped off as the makeup that they did there, or chopped open, I should say. Best performance by a young actor, Freddie Both as Alex is our nominee there. He lost to Haley Joel Osment for AI, artificial intelligence. And the final nomination, Best Fantasy Film at Saturn Awards 2002. You should know 2002, what was big around that time? It was absolutely not winning the Best Fantasy Film because Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring was the Best Fantasy Film of that year, despite it being comfortably the worst Lord of the Rings film because absolutely nothing happens in it. See our Clerks 2 review for details. On to the synopsis for The Mummy Returns, brought to us by, you'll be excited lads, Nick.
Yeah,
Return with a synopsis.
Is this the Thesaurus Nick?
Thesaurus Nick, yes. And let's see if he says the thing, because he does that quite regularly as well. 8 peaceful years, which already I've heard arguing points of when this film happened.
I've heard 9 and 10.
I've heard 7 as well. So 8 peaceful years, Nick says, after Imhotep's first reincarnation in The Mummy, 1999, Pharaoh Seti's evil high priest comes back from the dead once more to disrupt the easy family life of the O'Connells and their 8-year-old son Alex. And that explains that, yep. As if that weren't enough.
That means she was preggers when the first film
well, maybe, yeah. As if that weren't enough, yet another destructive force The ancient warlord Scorpion King breathes again, spelled breathes wrong, while in the meantime, a mystical artifact, the Bracelet of Anubis, seals the fate of both Evelyn and her innocent son. Now, it's up to brave Rick, Evelyn's brother Jonathan, and the Magi protector Ardeth Bay to save the day, as the world is on the brink of demise by hordes of millennium-old adversaries. Can they survive Dark Anubis's wrath when the mummy returns?
Yeah, you did
Nice.
it.
Said the thing at the end. It's a little bit of explanation of what's going on there. It's Magi, isn't it?
Magi.
I think I spelled it wrong in my notes the whole way through, but at least I know how to say it. Who picked The Mummy Returns? For the second time picking a mummy film, it was Chris. Chris, why have you picked The Mummy Returns?
Well, I felt like it was about time I did the sequel. I've been getting hounded for months to. I haven't finished the sequels yet, so
Leaving us hanging. I believe it was season 3 where we watched The Mummy.
a while ago.
We
And
gave it
I
a
thought
6
I
out
did.
of 10. What we gave it. Sorry, Chris.
No, I was gonna say like I thought I'd seen this one because I'm sure me and Andy were talking about it. We get confused with the first one, but I don't remember any of this film whatsoever.
Oh my
apart
God.
from the Gold Pyramid, so I don't know what film I'm thinking
Oh,
of.
God.
I will also be honest, I have seen this film and I remember so little of this film as well. It
Yep.
was like watching it for the first time.
So
There are
I've seen this. I've seen this film a million and one times. However, I did get confused with the start because I always thought it starts in the house.
Oh,
not,
right.
Not that it starts with like them finding the bracelet and stuff like that.
Well, I was going to say, when this film started, I was like, I thought it was the Scorpion King that I was watching, and I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
is this the right thing?
Yeah.
Because it starts
Yeah.
basically the same way as how the Scorpion
Yeah,
King
but
starts.
I always remember that bit, and then straight into the house, and then
Right.
people burgle the house. But I completely forget about the bit. So yeah, they need to get the bracelet first.
Have to get it first, yeah. So we had all seen it before. Oh, Chris hadn't seen it before. Do you
I
think?
think so. I thought I
Which,
had.
which channel would we normally find this on?
That's
Obviously
ITV.
BBC.
I've got ITV as
ITV.
well. This is a guarantee. You can even feel where the advert breaks would be happening in it. It's that's on ITV. And which version did we all watch? I think we all watched basically the standard version. I don't think there's any special edition versions. However, there are other cuts of the film. Early UK releases had the headbutt from the girl fight, which I don't know if it's the one that's behind Andy, the gold bikini one, or just one later on in the film. There's a headbutt. Was cut out. Otherwise, it wouldn't get a 12 rating with that headbutt in it for some reason. So I had to get that to get a 12. And the original cut of the film, i.e., given to the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, was going to be rated R because of excessive gunfire. So they had to cut out all of the
What?
chunk of the gunfire to get a PG-13 rating on it.
They cut a
So
chunk of that out.
they've cut out gunfire from the film. Yes, yeah. It was more than what there is. Yeah. So there you go. It seems to be that everyone just has the normal version. Beyond that, there isn't any other special edition cuts. On to point 2 then. Point 2 is the high points. What was like the best things, bits, and all that were about The Mummy Returns, and I will definitely call it Scorpion King at some point. So, but yes, The Mummy Returns. Chris, you picked it. Why don't you start us off with some high points?
You can't beat a big opening battle starting.
Does help a film, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I don't remember that though. Like I remember The Rock being in it, but I thought it was later on. Like
Do
a
we know
flashback. I wasn't.
Did they do that as like what they call on TV a backdoor pilot for a Scorpion King? We think they made that scene.
No, I'm pretty sure this was just straight. They did this, and then the film just spun right on after it.
So they went rather than we've made 400 million.
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz doesn't want to come back. Oh well, let's just make a Scorpion King movie. The Rock will finish wrestling quite easily. He's happy to be in it.
Yeah.
We'll give him some lines this time as well. So
I don't know. I didn't think that was going to be his one line was Haku Machente. I thought he was going to say loads of stuff.
yeah, because even when he comes back at the end, when I say he comes back, he is in the film again at the end. Yeah, there's no lines there. It's growling basically. That's at the end. So yeah, he's in this film, but not really in it, is he?
I can't believe
So
this is what started his acting career.
Yep.
Literally, his first acting role was basically the opening scene of this film.
Well,
So
technically, he was in Star Trek Voyager for an episode before this.
he was. You're right. Yes. Okay. Movie role in
Yeah,
cinema.
movie role was definitely his first one.
So my first high point is the first tomb raiding sequence, the one that Andy forgot existed.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a neat little thing, and the tease of her somehow knowing exactly where she's going was quite a good little thing. The little kid was fine at what he was doing at that point, and the way he was attacking the goons, the cockneys that were coming. I quite enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the whole thing of them going through and her getting the visions, how to open all the gates and all that sort of stuff. I do have questions about what was happening, but I enjoyed it all the way up until we get the pillars falling around the room, knocking each other down like the bookshelves in the first Mummy, which I'm not sure that necessarily physics-wise would work, but I quite enjoyed it. They didn't have to show every single one, in fairness. We didn't see every single one falling down, but I quite enjoyed it as a spectacular.
Like, that kid, right? I know he didn't know and he was trying to prop it up, not thinking. But the way I'm looking at this film is he tried to kill his parents. He was trying to stop that from hitting the wall that saved them.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
But also, you actually think he was going to prop that fucker up?
I know. That was the other thing. I would not be saying like, I'll hold it. It's like, yeah, no, you're gonna die. But it kind of brings me on to my first like high point, which is similar. Like, it's not that high point, but it's overall is practical stunts. They're finally back. I love a practical stunt.
Yes.
When you see Brendan Fraser and that basically getting drowned, even the little kid gets like absolutely hit by that wave and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like that's what I want. I want to see more practical stuff, not CGI'd.
Yeah.
Yeah, as little as possible is what we look for. I'm sure practicality will come up again on the podcast, Chris.
Well, so you've mentioned that point. Like, it's not a high point, but you can tell the producers have thought, you know what this film needs? More Rachel Weisz. Seeing more Rachel Weisz, because she's not wearing like the flowy shirts like she was in the first one. She's out.
Well, she's not.
We want to see more Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
Right. I see. Okay.
That's how they're like. How do we get more money out of this film?
She looks more like a movie star in this one. Like, in fact, they all do. Even Brendan Fraser, like the first scene you get of his silhouette behind the cobwebs, I think. Basically.
You can tell Indiana Jones
is him.
And then it's like, yeah, they're all like, I guess John Hannah is basically the same as what it was in the first one. But the two of them, we are now action heroes. Yes, I was an archaeologist before, and you were whatever else. Whatever Rick O'Connell was in the first one, but now we are Indiana Jones reborn. I guess before Indiana Jones was even a thing, because he was a bit after. But yeah, they're right. Rachel Weisz looks like a star, and I can see why she must have moved on to better things after this one. Any other high points?
Well, my actual next one is like the fight in the house.
All right, yeah.
It's like you think they're back home, and then also the chemistry between Brendan and Rachel Weisz, you can tell they're hot for each other.
Got James Bond to answer to, if it was.
Yeah. And then reacts like kids do, just don't listen, put the bracelet on, and that's it. He sets the events on.
It sets the events of the film.
He did a good job of trying to hide it. He was smart enough to I need to weight this box down and all that. Most kids wouldn't have done that. Cover it up. Yeah. He was very clever.
I don't understand how everybody knows where everybody lives. Like, like throughout the film, people just appear at places where, like at the start of the first tomb, those cockneys just appear at the tomb that the O'Connells are at, and then.
But I think it's because they have a connection, so they kind of know each other.
Oh, the creator guy.
No, the two women.
They know where each other are at all times. But before the internet, now with the internet, everyone knows where everybody is and what they've done forever. Back in those days, you had to rely on, I don't know, ESP and stuff like that. Not GPS, but ESP. Back in those days. Andy, any high points for you?
Kind of similar thing I'll pick up on what Chris saying, like the gunfight at the house, but it's more the pacing of the film, throughout is
breakneck.
It's like you have a piece of information, then you have a big action scene, then you have a piece of information, then you have some more action. It's just I actually quite like the pacing. It's just enough. It's
exactly what you need, because you always complain about films being slow and quiet and nothing happening. So I think at the first time I remember anyone sitting down and being quiet was an hour and.
Is that when they're in the balloon?
When they're in the balloon, I'm like, okay, people are actually sitting having a conversation here. It's like, oh my god, it's been an hour. Just bang, 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 bang.
But then you do get to my ultimate high point. I may as well bring up now the fight scene behind me.
Yeah,
you get glimpses of it, but then that's a full-on fight scene. It's like, this is what the world needs.
Do we actually know what the purpose of the duel was?
I was going to say, this whole thing's confusing me. Is Mila...
Spoilers aplenty from here on, right?
Is she, was that her from the first film, or did she, die? Is this someone who looks like her?
No, it's her. It's her from the first film.
I'm really struggling for these sort of answers, Chris. I would like to be able to help.
Because I thought it was just somebody who just looked like her, who happened to be helping, because I thought she died in the first one.
Because Rachel Weisz isn't Nefertiti.
No.
So, but she looks identical to Nefertiti.
Yeah.
Yep.
So why is the other one still the same person? Why is it not the same thing? Because at some point, old baldy mummy gets a book and is like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then this sort of spooky black ghost comes out and goes into her body. And I'm like, so she did just have a sort of connection. But now that's the actual soul of his woman, whatever she is, gone into her body. And she now is the full reincarnation embodiment of the old one, Anck-su-namun.
Anck-su-namun.
Yes. So are we to believe that Evelyn and Mila are just totally different people who are just unwittingly, unknowingly the reincarnation of these?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what also what I mean. So, okay, and then they get, because they're evil, they can use dark magic to get the spirit back.
Yep.
But Rachel Weisz doesn't ever want to get the spirit of Nefertiti back into her. Right. Okay.
No, because why would you want somebody else's soul in your body?
Exactly, and that's why. What is Mila's motivation here? Because she's
a fucking nutter.
Yeah, she helps release the mummy so that he can do this to her, basically. So why does she want to give up her? Anyway, we're gonna get bogged down. So back to what my original question was: why were Anck-su-namun and Nefertiti fighting each other in gold bikinis back in the ancient Egypt?
I feel like it was for Arnold Vosloo's Bobby. Like,
right, for the pleasure of the pharaoh.
I think so, yeah.
And were they basically strangers to each other and to him at that point? And it was like a proving ground match, as in the winner gets to be the woman of the future pharaoh.
Well, see, I think I can't remember what it's called now. The mummy.
Imhotep.
Yeah. And Alexa were already banging.
Because
Nefertiti was Elvin's daughter.
Yeah, but he was the pharaoh. Like, she was the pharaoh's daughter. But I think it was just like one of these ways, like, rather than an arranged marriage, it's fight to the death marriage.
I wasn't prepared for the film to hurt my head so much.
I know. Like I have questions about this film. Like, I did not expect to be as baffled of what was going on as I was in this film. Anyway, gold bikini scene. I think that's a high point.
Yes, that is a high point.
Chris, any high points from you?
Before that, just after, well, obviously Imhotep gets released in London. They've got Alex and all that. No, sorry, they've got Alex. They've got Evelyn, because they were killer and all that. Did anybody else not have any subtitles?
Oh,
no, it was you again.
Don't get me started. No, don't get me started on subtitles again. I'm not doing it. I can't.
Okay.
I could not get subtitles for trying for this episode.
Right.
A lot of this film is not in English.
Yes.
And I could only get
that scene behind Andy as well. There's a whole spell of that, and it's fucking.
You just put subtitles on.
I could only get subtitles in English for words that were already in English. I could not get any subtitles for anything that wasn't spoken in it. So, like there was.
This is why you guys are so confused.
I tried very difficult ways to get subtitles for this film, and I managed to get, on my fourth attempt, no subtitles. After getting 3 subtitles that didn't give me any foreign language, it was always just the English stuff. So I don't know, which is where I'm struggling. I feel this one's okay because I was able to recognize character names and kind of work out what they were inferring and implying.
You missed big plot holes if you didn't have subtitles.
I'm positive. I'm positive I have it. So I feel like Andy's got to explain plans and intentions to us as we go if he managed to get.
Well, like I was saying, like Imhotep getting released and him coming out and blah blah blah. And then the London bus ride through the town, and the
that was a high point for me. That's one of my high points. I love that scene.
That's the best use of practical effects was the actual mummies chasing them before they went all CGI.
Yeah, the guys chasing them. The bus. He runs off to get, like, this isn't even a low point. He runs off. They destroy the car with getting the key, so they're off to get another escape vehicle, and he comes back with a bus, and I'm like, for God's sake. But I'm thinking, of course, like, you can't just go and steal a car necessarily, but it's plausible for him to run out onto the street and threaten a bus driver and steal a bus that way. But then they're running away from the mummies. The reason they're in the bus is to escape a bunch of mummies. And then the mummies get onto the bus. And then they're still just tearing through the streets of London. It's like, you could just stop. Like, You're not running away. What you are running away from, you have killed 2 of, and the other ones are next to you, and you're like pummeling them on this bus here. It's like, why are you charging around, losing? I mean, obviously they defeated him in the end by using the technique of beheading it or full bodying it with the bridge. But it's like, you could just stop and run out the bus. Like
that would have been a good scene, though, and you wouldn't have had that dramatic shot going over Tower Bridge.
Yeah, well, that was at the end, at least. Was the bit of the I quite like that. I could be then driving off towards the airport. I'm assuming that's another thing. They travel from England to Egypt quite easily. We don't see that part of the journey. No one's
maybe Concorde was just like in its early days back then.
But I can't remember how we got onto this, Chris. But yes, the bus. The actual scene is exciting.
Yeah.
At the end, I'm thinking, why are you destroying traffic here? You can just stop.
And once again, the guys just appear and take Alex. They just like happen to stop right as the bus stops. Go,
that guy is a proper ninja. Like,
I forgot to mention this either. I couldn't get my head around it, and then in my research, I found another point questioning it. When they're on the train, not long after that, Alex is in the toilet, and he can see he can leave the train that way. He manages to pull the emergency brake and get out and escape into the place that they were trying to get to, didn't he?
I know. That was lucky, wasn't it?
It's like they're all like, "Oh my god! Oh, I need to slam on the brakes to stop," and then he runs away into the place they were going to. So did they not know where they were going, or was it just like
maybe they were like stopping around the corner of it, like they were going around to the far side. Yeah,
he stopped it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he was just a bit too early. Yeah.
Also, I don't know how much money you have to pay me to try and escape through a toilet like that. Like at least in what you call it, the Shawshank Redemption, it's behind the toilet. No, it's not. It's another film. It's behind the toilet. He actually had to go in where the drain was coming. Fair play. Any other high points? I've run out of mine.
Oh, that's a bad sign.
I know. Pygmies. I love the pygmies.
I was going to say, like, Jonathan on the ancient burial ground, just like, oh yeah, they won't come here because of all the stones.
Just that guy. Oh, my bad. He's the right amount of comedy through this film. Like, it's just enough. It's not like he does get a bit annoying at sometimes, but I think he's on the knuckle.
It's nicely limited to like Jonathan. Instead of like everybody trying to be a bit funny, it's just him.
Yeah.
So they were in fact pygmy mummies then, because I thought they were like monkeys.
So did I actually.
And then one guy said that they're just pygmy zombie, whatever it is he says, and I'm like, oh really? Were they? And then next thing it was like, but they're tiny. It's like, it's not a monkey. So yeah, it was definitely pygmy thing. Okay.
Yeah,
like I say, I am out of high points, so we'll crack on.
Well, I've got a couple. Like, this is where I remember the film from. Is Rick racing against the sun with Alex in his arms? That's where I remember it from. That's
just true father-son love right there, isn't it?
I don't know. It's not worth a low point on its own, but him racing against the sun made no sense. So it's sunrise, I'm assuming, because the sun is coming up.
Yeah.
Why is the very tall pyramid that he's running into dark? Like, the sun doesn't rise in a straight line like that. Like, the pyramid is high, the sun is low. As the sun comes up, it hits the top of the pyramid. Like, okay, the ground is dark, so as the sun comes up, the light would be chasing them, but the light would also be coming down the pyramid.
This is a magical pyramid, Bruce?
It's a magical sun, apparently. I don't know. But yeah, I was thinking, it's like a flying saucer is flying over them.
Aye.
And it's like, but a reverse flying saucer. Like, it's rather than dark.
In the first film, Imhotep like manipulated like weather and shit like that. So maybe he's just done the same in this.
It did the same in that by manipulating the sunrise to just forward like a straight line like that. But yeah, I was just thinking, why is the pyramid dark? The pyramid's like 100 feet high. It should be the sun should be hitting that. Anyway, sorry.
I had no idea he even got shanked either. I was watching this and I was like, oh yeah, I remember he runs to the thingy and Alex is fine. And then when fucking Mila just walks up and goes, yeah, jabbing the gut. I was like, where'd that come from?
Again, that's why I wondered, oh, maybe she does get wiped out and that's why. Because I didn't remember her at the end. Like, I remember very vividly what the end of the film is. So I was like, oh, maybe she does die there. It wasn't a very grand send-off for her. It was just a case of, I'm dead now. Carry on. But yeah, it was a good twist. But it's, again, another, I don't know, action movie 10-minute death. And they just come back. Oh, yeah, I'm right as rain. Yeah.
My ultimate point, well, you got any more?
He's got none. I've got one, which is, I actually like Imhotep's entire plan. Like, so obviously
okay.
he's super, like, he's super powerful and all that, but I like the bit where obviously he walks in the pyramid and he just becomes a normal human. So he's instantly shitting himself So he does the great thing of, yeah, it's not me, it's Rick. He's the one that's trying to kill you. What a genius.
I think that's what he said.
I need this explained to me because it's going to be either nominated as best plan or worst plan either way. What's the plot of this film? What's happening? Who is behind what's happening, and what happens when they get to the bit when they're trying to get to it? So what is the plan here?
So the plan is to get Imhotep to kill the Scorpion King so that he runs the army of Anubis.
Right. Okay.
And takes over the world.
Who initiated this plan? Because Imhotep is dead.
She did.
Right. But
her old conscience, like whatever, see in the past.
Okay.
This is how we get him back. We can do this, and then give him ultimate power because obviously he wasn't powerful enough in the first film. He needs an army with him.
So, which leads me on to my question currently: does Rick now rule the army of the dead?
Yes, but he sent them back.
Yeah,
he chose because that was the whole thing.
I chose. Right.
Yeah, because it takes a great man just to send the army back.
Right. Okay.
Which is the whole him, the stranger in the West thing, because he's one of the Magi, the chosen one. Yeah, as soon as he killed him, instantly he kills them, and then that's why all the Anubis warriors disappeared because he just sent them back to.
It was just his will.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
He doesn't want to control them.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, if you read thing or understood ancient Egypt, you'd be all right.
It would definitely. A lot of the plan making was an Egyptian. Yes. So is it? Let's just. I would like it decided now. Then is it a good plan or a bad plan? The plan.
I don't know. Like she's not. She's just a normal human being trying to resurrect a mummy that already almost tried to wipe out there 8 years ago, and then you want to give him an army. It's a pretty stupid plan.
But she wants that. She knows she's safe. It's like, I want world domination, and if I bring back my...
okay, like, if she wanted that plan, then you get all the pieces before you... Like, they've not even dug him up. Like, well, they've almost dug him up, but they've only just started looking for the bracelet. It's like, well, let's get the bracelet, then dig him up.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Like, it seems a bit quick.
So I missed some of the plan. I thought was they were going to dig up Imhotep to kill the Scorpion King. And I was thinking, well, don't dig up the Scorpion King. I missed the whole he resurrects every 5,000 years for a while.
Yes.
On the first viewings. But I didn't realise. I thought they were just going to dig them both up and just let each other fight.
Yeah, no, the Scorpion King does resurrect every 5,000 years, but it can be initiated with the bracelet. If they put the bracelet on, it activates it, and obviously that's why they got 7 days.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you've mentioned it, it's another question I had. So, Anubis or the Scorpion King, which one comes back? Is it specifically the Scorpion King?
Scorpion King.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Because it was so complicated. Even in English, it's complicated to tell. Even in the form of the sentences that we're discussing at the beginning of the film, which one it was that was coming back. I knew the Scorpion King does come back, but I don't know if he at this point is Anubis or if it's just a Scorpion King.
No,
so
he's just a Scorpion King.
He comes back every 5,000 years. He comes back.
Yes.
The last time he came back was, I think, the first time he was alive 5,000 years ago.
Yes.
So he has to come back every 5,000 years.
No, this would be his first time coming back.
Yeah, he's about to come back. Is what he's like.
Well, it's not even about to come back. I think it's like 1,500 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's still got 1,500 years, but she's just decided, let's do it now. Because I'm alive. We found the bracelet. We can activate this now.
And what happens? Like, even if they waited the 5,000 years and then he came back and then he like achieved world domination, like. He doesn't have to come back then. He's still back from before. So the whole he returns every 5,000 years. You've just made that up. Like he is due to be back at some point. Not that he returns every 5,000 years. Anyway, right, okay.
We should go into low points.
Well, yeah, we should definitely go to low points. Definitely. Okay, point 3 is low points.
Right. Let's just start with the ultimate low point since we're talking about it right now. Is the face behind Bruce.
I'll go for it. Okay.
Like. The action is pretty good. Like even the Scorpion run around is pretty good, but anytime you see the face, it's almost like the CGI the Scorpion like bodying did a really good job of it. And I went, right, we'll get the Rock's face and we'll like fully CGI it in afterwards.
Well,
and then they didn't get the Rock back.
My theory is they've just taken his character model from SmackDown Just Bring It. It's the last wrestling game that came out before the film.
Well, this actually, it did come up, I think 3 or 4 months ago. It was all over the internet, and it was always like, this is the worst special effect, almost as bad as the blade blood drop. And apparently, 100% the reason is exactly what I just said, is they CGI'd the entire scene, and were meant to get the Rock back to do a full 3D face scan, but they run out of money and decided, no, we can't do that. It's going to cost too much. Just make it work.
Oh,
I didn't use The Rock while he was there filming. They were like, right, we're doing a CGI thing. Can you just like run about with your head? I guess.
No, apparently they did not. They did the start bit, and then they were going to put it in at the end, but they ran out of money pretty much. They couldn't get the budget back, couldn't get The Rock back, and ended up with that monstrosity behind Bruce.
Yes.
To be fair, that's not even the worst bit of CGI.
Well, I was going to say
the entire CGI is pish.
I'm going to say it's a blanket thing. Is the special effects, i.e., the CGI? Like special effects is a broad term, but the CGI, everything they tried to do with the computer in this film, now in 2023 is laughable. Yep. But I remember it was effing 20 years ago.
I don't know. I think the Anubis Warriors were pretty good.
Okay, yes, and the CGI parts of the battle at the beginning, they're okay, but most of the blimp is bad. The water is bad. When someone's up because like old Imhotep is standing in a CGI river. It's like you could just stood him in a river. But the whole thing is this weird sort of silvery kind of color. It's like, what is that? And,
even when he like sucks that guy's face in the train and he comes back and even that's shitty shit.
I don't think it helps that like I watched it in 4K as well because it really stands out.
I bet it did. But you're right. Every sort of little bit here and there, you can tell things are CGI. Even the little pygmy monkeys are a bit funny as well. But it's I think a blanket thing is the CGI in this film is bad. Like it was 20 years ago, but I distinctly remember it not being great back then either. So that's a blanket thing. But I've got a very early one, which again is me just having questions and So,
I'll just speak ancient Egypt again. I
don't know. This is the American and the English person speaking. The very beginning, the scene I like with her tomb raiding, she walks in and she's like, "Oh, that's the emblem of the Scorpion King. He's supposed to be pure myth. No trace of him has ever been found before. No artifacts or archival evidence. But that's the emblem of the Scorpion King." And it's like, okay, you were alive back when you were alive, but the Scorpion King was before you being alive. Like, he's an ancient evil as the Scorpion King. So how do you have any idea what that is? To just walk up, oh, look what it is, the Scorpion
Maybe
King.
it just says Scorpion King on ancient Egyptian. That's what it reads.
Maybe, but then like, how does she know? Oh, that's the emblem. It's like it could just be like some, I don't know, a fanboy.
Well, maybe it just says this is the emblem of the Scorpion King in ancient Egyptian.
He's supposed to be pure myth.
She's just translating. That's all she's doing.
Yeah. So that just made me laugh. And then it's not long after that is the whole Anubis 5,000 years thing. Scorpion King 5,000 years. I was like confused at that. Any other early low points from you guys?
Well, as like you, this film just leaves me with a fuck ton of questions. Right, Evie's visions. Is that because she got kind of taken over in the last film, or is that something new that she's got?
I think it's because she's got linked to the Book of the Dead or whatever one it was in the first film.
Right.
So I had questions on this subject as well, which is the main characters, both of our main characters in the first film, just suddenly have an ancient past or higher purpose.
Yeah, like,
not important.
Where did he get the tattoo? Apparently got it in Cairo, but he never had it in the last film.
Yeah, he just, I've had that forever. It's like, well, you're hanging out with him in the first film and these ancient Egypt specialists, and not one of them saw it at any point. And I mean, you have a kid with Rachel Weisz, and I mean, like, she's probably seen you quite up close and personal.
Maybe he's always got the little wrist strap on. It's had a dodgy wrist for 8 years.
And she looks the same as Nefertiti. Did none of the ancient Egyptians recognize her? Like the first time round, we had a whole film with the same people, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I mind you." Like, what? Oh, you're not Nefertiti. Oh, you look just like her. Where's that scene? That never happened. So yeah, that annoyed me. Sorry, Chris.
Also, I forgot what I was going about. Now, everybody else in this film are worse than stormtroopers. The amount of bullets that were flying about, and nobody took one anywhere.
I think 20 guys all shoot machine guns at Alex at one point, and not one of them came within a foot of hitting.
It was at the house, and Jonathan Rick
when he jumps
are
to the
escaping,
window.
and they're on the railing as shots are going along the railing, and not one of them hit them.
It's an old Thompson, though. It's hard to shoot with.
I watched that, jumped out at me. I was thinking, is that a practical stunt like thing? Is that practically there? And did they have to wait for the actors to clear the railing and then go, and hit the button? Boom, bang, 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 bang. Is that why it was so bad? Was it they couldn't have little explosions so close to the actors? I've got the balloon as my next low point. Now,
Yeah,
it looks bad in a lot of things.
Also, like, I liked him. Like, I liked his
charisma.
charisma and his eye patch and all that. But yeah,
Izzy.
Dizzy. But yeah, anything involving that balloon is a low point, and this is where the film slows down too much for me.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, this is the scene where we finally get a chat for the first time, it was quite nice for those of us who couldn't stand just gunfire permanently at that point. But this is worst science, worst physics here, I'm afraid. There is no way this balloon works. I'm sorry, at all. Like, absolutely no chance this balloon functions in the way this film. Yes, it's a fantasy film, but it's not meant to be planet Earth, and that balloon does not work. Like, there's no way you can make it go forward in the way it does. There's no way a special booster thing.
I was going to say, like,
throw the thing. Like, they should be like that with the balloon dragging behind them, basically. It's like, there's no way it works. I'm sorry. Any other low points?
I think I might. Well, we already talked about the worst CGI.
Literally, as everything is the balloon for me is my biggest low point in this film.
So I've mentioned other ones. I've got. Are we just saying everything involving Alex, or are you guys softened your stance? Because I feel like you guys were coming into.
He's all right. Like, I don't think he's bad.
No, he's purposely annoying just for the Lochner guy, so he doesn't bother me that much.
I do feel the film suffers that there's as much him as Brendan Fraser in this.
Yeah,
but I feel like
it does need to be more Fraser.
Yeah, take a bit off of the kid and a bit more of him. But the last one I've got is the random Magi guys explaining it is fate that your son has the bracelet. You are Nefertiti. You've got this stupid tattoo. You are 3 sides of the pyramid.
It's a 4-side pyramid.
What's the 4th side of the pyramid? I was just like, what is he on about? Banging on about. So I thought he was going to explain what the 4th thing is this, but no, there wasn't. It was just 3-sided. But then I think a 3-sided pyramid would still work. Like, it still would work. However,
it's not
the pyramids,
it's a triangle.
Yeah, the pyramids don't look like that. And then everything else is like, the stuff I've mentioned. So on to point 4. The stats for the film The Mummy Returns. No swearing whatsoever. 0 for shit, 0 for F-bombs. I think there was like an arse and a bastard or something like that. And that's all there was in terms of in terms of swearing. Explosions 4. Can equally spread out. There was every so often we would get an explosion one way or another. The best one was the pygmies on the tree trunk. That explosion. And then we'll go falling down into the ravine. Deaths, though. Very difficult. I counted 65 deaths, which is a lot. And I'm not counting mummies. I'm not counting beheading dog-head men because they were all done. 65 people died in this film. That's not including the vast majority of the Scorpion King's army, because they all died. He was the only one surviving. And apparently, in the space of about 5 minutes, tens of thousands of the Magi died to the Anubis, because there was hundreds of thousands of them on horseback.
10,000.
Yeah, it's like a line of them along the hill at the end. There's like so much bloodshed for this. So, yeah, we're looking at, I don't know, maybe 500,000, maybe, depending on how many these armies there were. 10,000 Magi, but I think the Scorpion King had quite a few. So yeah, a lot, but 65 in the film. No cows and no goats. I thought we might get some sort of tribute to these animals in old ancient Egypt, but we didn't. Dead animals, though. I'm assuming some horses, but definitely hundreds of scorpions killed.
They were already dead.
There was a bird as well. Horace got killed.
Oh, Horace died. Did he actually come down? Like, I know they shot him. He did die. Killed Horace. I like to think his name was.
That was another thing. How did he know that it was his bird that got shot? It wasn't just. It's like the guy just randomly shooting a gun.
Connection.
Well, it's the connection. It's the same way as Rachel Weisz is connected to the past. He's connected to his bird.
The Assassin's Creed connection.
Yeah. And then the only one of our previous quotas, paedophiles not present. Alex had a pretty safe journey there.
20,000 was the Anubis Scorpion King's army.
Right, okay, so we're looking at maybe 50, no, what would that be? Yeah, maybe 30,000 might be deaths. So yeah, there you go, quite a chunk. Taco Berry trifecta. Rick did not ride a motorcycle, but he did hit getting the girl and also running quite a lot. So he was the closest, but no motorbikes. I think there would be motorbikes back in those days.
I could swear he was on one. Maybe it's the third one.
I didn't believe there was double-decker buses back then, but...
One thing I don't believe is that they were definitely not filming in London. That was not London. And did they say the thing? Did they say Mummy Returns?
No.
They said like the Mummy has risen again. There was something that was almost Mummy Returns, but not good enough, I'm afraid. Chris, any stats from you?
Yeah, I counted 60 mummies, 60-ish, because the pygmies were impossible to count.
Yeah.
And then there was like we've just discussed it, the Anubis army. Yeah. They were classed as mummies, so.
Well, they weren't mummified. So
yeah,
I
was thinking there's a difference. Yeah, there was the ones that,
over 60
that were coming out of like the caskets in the museum, wherever it was as well. So
shit myself there, by the way.
Aye.
Oh yeah. Just at the very beginning, just randomly Alex being right there next to Rick, but the second scene of the film.
I knew that was coming. Like you could just see like the way that he was able to turn around. Also, was he levitating? Because he was like face to face with him.
I don't think he's tiny. Yeah, why was he so high up?
My other one was The Rock's one line of Haku Machente means it's hot as hell.
The rest of your days. Is that not what it is? That's Hakuna Machente. No. No nut shots and no Wilhelm screams though. Chris.
Well, there's nut shots of the statues with the size.
Right. Oh yeah. So
that was about it.
Andy, anything from you in terms of statistics?
Apparently, Arnold Vosloo's axe that he was swinging around weighed 50 pounds, which was really heavy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that one behind me.
Yeah, apparently it was a proper axe, and he was swinging around. And he was knackered.
Oh, I forgot to mention my favourite bit of the film. It's basically this: when the Rock finally gets killed.
Oh, he just goes like that.
He jumps off camera to go no, and but full on I don't know, Broadway dancer style. It's like hilarious.
No, just standing, he forgot his spot. He was like, oh no.
Oh, it made me laugh. That was my proper LOL moment. So, I'll go for that. But yeah, good stuff. On to point 5 on the podcast. It's the 10-point podcast quiz. I have pen and paper, Andy. I don't know if I need it.
Don't need pen and paper.
Okay, good.
Right. So back in season 3, Chris did a quiz, and it was me versus you, and it was called "Who's the Mummy?"
Right. Okay.
And it was basically you had to name famous celebrities' mummies.
Right. Okay.
So I've came up with the quiz of "Who's your mummy?" returns.
Who's your mummy returns? Is it the actual same questions? Because that would be funny.
It's not the exact same questions, and I've done it in a slightly different thing. So Chris did. So for example, who is Billy Lord's mum? And it's Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher.
I have done movies, so they're all movie-related mummies.
Right. Okay. So who is someone's mother in blank?
Anybody.
Correct. So who wants to go first?
I will go first if you wish. Although Chris was like maybe.
Yeah, it's you anyway.
Right. The more detailed you are, the more points you get.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you give me just the first name, full name, the most detail you can get, you may get double points.
Cool.
It's question 1, Bruce. Who is the killer and the mother to Jason Voorhees in the original Friday the 13th? So I'm looking for character name and actress name. If you can give me one or the other or both.
Well, it's Mrs. Voorhees. So what is her first name? I've got an idea of what it might be. So I'm looking at my brain and say I have no idea who the actress was at all. I could not even tell you. Does it Judith Voorhees?
Nope. Chris?
Janet Voorhees.
Nope. It was Palma Voorhees, and it was played by Betsy Palmer.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
Chris? In Back to the Future, we see Marty McFly sent back to time, back in time to 1955 to meet who?
Leah Thompson is the actress.
That's 1 point. Yeah, basically, it's a point for
Sally.
Names. Sally. No, it's not Sally, right, Bruce? You still steal a point if you get the character name.
This is annoying. It's one of them ones which is the most famous characters in films. Karen.
Lorraine Baines McFly.
What was the first name? Sorry.
Lorraine.
So Chris is like a point. 1-0.
He's got 1 point. Bruce. So character name, actress name. That's how you get double points.
Mm-hmm.
In Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, which character dies in childbirth?
Natalie Portman.
Yeah, and the character name?
Padme Amidala.
Double points. You get 2 points for that.
I knew that one.
Chris, who is the daughter of Maureen Prescott in the Scream franchise?
Sidney Prescott and Neve Campbell.
Yes. They're not all hard. In the opening sequence to Star Trek, the 2009 version, who do we see giving birth? Bruce.
Who do we see giving birth?
This is a hard one.
Yes. 2009 opening. We see... I have seen this film. I have this film on DVD somewhere, and I remember it being a famous actress. But I cannot remember. I don't want to give...
Chris is looking at the thing. He's like,
I don't have it.
I won't guess the character name, so I'm not going to give Chris any help by even trying to guess. An actress...
Nope, getting over. Chris?
I'm going to say as wrong. I'm with Melissa George and that's the actress, and it was...
You never get it.
Janet Higgins Kirk. I don't know.
You were not far off. You got the last name right. It was Winona Kirk.
Winona.
Name, and it was Jennifer Morrison.
Right. That's it. I could see a blonde woman, but I could not get her face to emerge from my memory.
Right. Chris, who is the matriarch of the family of criminals in the Goonies?
Ah, fuck. Mrs. Petrelli. Fratelli. No, I don't know Petrelli. It's not Petrelli. That's Heroes.
Yeah, Heroes. Yeah.
Right. Do you want to have a stab at the actress?
I don't know.
Nope. Right, Bruce?
Is it Mama Fratelli, or are you looking for a name?
Nope, that is it.
Mama Fratelli, and I should know the actress's name, but I can't. I won't come up with an answer.
Annie Ramsey.
I won't come up with the actress name.
I was thinking. I thought it was a guy.
That's a point for Bruce.
So I think it's City Hall, I think, is what the score is.
Bruce, in the Harry Potter franchise, who is the mother to Ron, Ginny, Fred, George, Charlie, Percy, and Bill?
So that is Jennifer Walters. Is that what you call her? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
How many do you finish your answers off? And I'll say if you're right or wrong.
Jennifer Walters. And it's Mrs. Weasley. Her first name is Georgina Weasley.
I'm going to go for no points because that's not what I've got written down here.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I could be wrong. Oh, it's not. You're right. I'm wrong. You're right. Yeah. I've got my names mixed up.
Go, Chris. Gonna rush you.
Anne Walters and Anne Weasley. It's neither of them.
Do you want to change your answer?
It's Julie.
It's Julie Walters, and it was Molly Weasley you were looking for. So
I would
no
not have got
points.
Molly. I made a balls of that. I should be winning.
Chris, another easy one for you. Who is the Terminator's worst enemy and mother to John Connor?
Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton.
You sure?
Sarah Ann Connor, Linda Hamilton.
You sure it's Linda Hamilton?
Yes.
Okay, yes, you were right. Because I could have went for any franchise, but you picked the right one.
Lena Headey, yeah.
Yeah. Bruce.
Technically, it's a series, that one.
Yeah.
So what's that, 5?
5-3 to Chris.
It's a simple question. Stifler's mum.
Jennifer Coolidge. Is Stifler's mum, Jennifer Coolidge.
That's 1 point.
Is she called anything beyond Stifler's mum?
Yes.
Right. Suzanne Stifler.
No. Do you want to steal a point, Chris?
Julie Stifler?
No, it's Janine Stifler.
Ah! That was a J. That 1 point for me.
Yeah. What's the scores?
5-4 to Chris.
And who's Bruce? You start. No, it's Chris.
It's Chris to go. So this would be even number of questions.
Oh, we can pull this back, right? Chris, you need this to the win. Helen Parr, Elastigirl, mother of Violet, Dash, and Jack Jack, is in which movie?
What?
Helen Parr, aka Elastigirl, is the mother of Violet, Dash, and Jack Jack in which movie?
Incredibles and Incredibles 2.
Uh-huh.
The actress is Bonnie Hunt. No, it's not.
Oh.
Bonnie Hunter.
Nope, you were close. Bruce, do you want to try and steal this point? You need it. Can you name the actress? He's very close.
I know it.
It's Holly Hunter.
It's Holly Hunter. Bruce wins.
I thought
you win.
No, because he got a point.
Well, I get a point for The Incredibles, yeah.
You get 1 point for the Credibles, then Bruce gets another point, which makes him the winner, don't you?
No, it means Chris is still one ahead. He was already winning by
one.
one.
Right.
So we both got a point, so he wins by one.
Right, he wins by one.
Chris wins by one.
Oof.
Yeah, that was a head scratcher, that one. Those questions were more complicated.
Your little riddle at the end confused me because I was...
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be in The Incredibles. It was going to be Helen Parr.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But,
anyway, nothing fairness to argue with there. I think it was.
Chris got all the easy questions that time.
I think he did, yeah, actually.
Yeah, definitely did.
I think I knew all of Chris's questions. Anyway, on to point 6. Movies within movies. Chris, you are the keeper of the 10-point podcast universe.
Well, Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, Arnold Vosloo, Odette Fair, Patricia Velasquez, where is it? Aaron Epali, all returned from the first film.
Yep, that's what I had as well. All those.
Also, somebody else, Sean Cronin was a high priest in The Mummy. He was also a high priest in this. Where are we? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, different films. Alan Armstrong, who is Mr. Havez, was in Braveheart as Mornay.
Yeah, it was.
Got a quite decent Egyptian accent for a thingamabie.
Yeah,
I know, accent. The Rock, who was the Scorpion King for all of 2 minutes, was Doom in Doom as Sarge.
I think that's it. I could not find another film, and I was positive. Like, I know we mentioned them on every episode, but the only episode we've done The Rock before was the second episode that we did way back when. So it's been a long time coming to get The Rock, and of course he spoke 2 words in this.
And there's somebody, Nick Laurent, who was, excuse me, gassy beer, was a cannibal pygmy, was in The Mummy as a child.
I see.
Nice.
Very good. And then have you recast the 3 of us into the film?
Oh, I did. Okay, so last time I put myself as Ardith Bay, I put Andy as Imhotep, and I put you as Benny Bruce. So this time I put myself as I put myself as Jonathan because he's a bumbling oaf. That's kind of what I would be like in that situation. I put Andy as Rick, and I put Bruce as Ardith this time.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that.
No reason.
I'll take it.
I went a different route. As soon as they walked in, I'm like,
the 3 guys.
the 3 of us were the 3 cockney groups. Definitely.
I'm the one that gets fucking sucked off first.
Chris
is the one that gets hit with a pebble. I think that's definitely repeatedly. And I'm the one who's like the foreign one who's like spiritual and trying to explain things and all that.
That is cursed.
And Andy's the straight ahead. Let's go get stuff done. Let's kidnap the kid guy. So that's the way I went with it. I forget, Andy, I don't have you on my notes. I don't come to you for movies anymore, do I?
No.
So the questions that this film that I try to answer every week. Could this film have come out in 1995? And I say, absolutely. Nothing it means it couldn't. Because there'd be less CGI and it might have been better. Like, obviously, the first one would have to come out before it. That's the only thing you'd have to move as well. But yeah, I reckon this would be better if it had come out 6 years earlier because it would do away with all dodgy CGI. I don't know how I'd cast in it. It's tough because I always cast from the same year, so it's the same pool of actors.
Well, Brendan Fraser would have just done George of the Jungle, so...
Fair point. There we go. So you can stay it. Rachel Weisz probably could have done it as well.
And maybe rather than Arnold Vosloo, you do Billy Zane.
Yeah. Dead Man Walking. Now, I had 2 guesses, and I was right on one and wrong on one. So straight away, I was like, these 3 Cockney idiots are getting it. And then when they made the deal with Mila, and she was all like, yeah, we can do this for you. I was like, you are goners. It was within about 5 minutes they were dead, I think. But I had Ardeth. I thought he was like eating it in this one. I thought he was definitely going. He'd sacrifice. Being like 5th good guy is never a good position to be in an action adventure film. Like, you can go and the rest of the film can carry on. But he survived. He fought his battle on the outside and they saved the day over there. Who's in the wrong movie? I feel Imhotep's in the wrong movie. Like, he had his own film.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's a real kind of middleman here. That you could just have had the good guys trying to stop the Scorpion King, couldn't you?
I kind of feel like he's not needed in this film. Like, it's just like it could have been about him bringing him back and getting the bracelet, do like a double-barreled thing. But you don't need him to be around.
No, definitely not. And I feel like he's only in the film so they could call it The Mummy Returns.
Yeah.
But I get for the title, but it means you have to bring Imhotep back. That might be the only thing. And then tropes that we would like to see binned off that are in this film. Sequel goes to London. I've gone from so many films. I've got another one. Oh, we should do a bit in London. And this. Why? Why is it always London they have to go to? So that's my one. What about you guys? Tropes that need to die.
Jonathan nailed it. The old wipe out the world ploy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, people always want to rule the ashes, don't they? To burn the world and rule the ashes.
Rebuilding your own image.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not a trope that I want to die. It's a trope that needs to happen in more movies is bikini battles, but I think it's always the kind of what do you call it? Like the kind of be all end all boss battle. I'm kind of bored of boss battle things.
That's where it's been good in some things recently, where they've intentionally, like, spoiler alert for some films, things like Watchmen. You get to the final boss battle and it's I've already done my plan. It's like you're too late, and that.
So I like that one because they lost anyway.
Yeah,
I like their losing boss battle.
But no, I think the final showdown. That's my trope needs to die. I want something different rather than just a straight up shoot up good versus evil. Give me something different. Come on, Hollywood.
I don't mind recently a lot of films, they have the showdown, like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through, they beat the big baddie, but then they've still got the race against time to stop the plan happening. So it's like another 10 minutes or so, or maybe more than that, 15 minutes. So there's still something to be done, but they've beaten the enemy sometimes. Anyway, on to point 7. Point 7 is that one thing in honor of the City Slicker franchise, which we have covered all of, I guess.
Bikini battles.
The one thing, bikini battle. So this is that one thing. Basically, what does this one film have? That one thing about this film that you will always treasure, remember, or whatever you want to call it. So bikini battles for Andy.
Oh, I'm going to call it brand panties match.
What about you, Chris?
Matches. I'm putting the chemistry between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz because you could like mistake them for being an actual couple the way they were carrying on.
Yeah. The one problem we have with the theory of the whole point is that the first film also has that. But the
I don't remember it as well.
Fair enough.
You don't have to. Well, to be fair, she was playing hard to get in the first film.
Yeah, I suppose it's the partnership. I've gone for it. Doesn't. It's not exactly what we're looking for, but it is the one thing I remember from this film is how horrific video game Rock looks at the end of this film, and that this image is what this film is to me, unfortunately. And this is the one thing that the Mummy Returns. Oh yeah, that's CGI Scorpion King. Unfortunately for the Mummy Returns. Point 8. The nominations for the 10-Point Podcast Awards at the end of the season. Chris, you lead us off and we tell you whether you're right or wrong.
So I went for Best Actress, Brendan Fraser.
I left it blank. He's not in it enough for me.
I'm going to give it to Brendan. When he was there, he was good.
He deserves an Oscar for this. I put my Best Supporting. I've got 2 here, but I'll let you pick. I'll put Rachel Weisz or John Hannah. John Hannah's more supporting.
Rachel Weisz, sure.
Rachel Weisz is quite high. Okay. But Best Badass was Rick.
I went Evelyn.
Yeah, she was actually more badassy.
Because she's like in my background, Andy's background. She's in the actual like hand-to-hand combat and looking badass.
She did another ass-kicking thing later on, and then when she got when she did her damsel in distress bit, straight away shotgun, boom.
Yeah, Evelyn.
I love it. My best death. The accuracy that Rick throws that snake at the guy's face has to take it for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Stupid character. My worst plan was digging up the mummy to kill the Scorpion King. Because he loses his powers anyway.
Yeah,
cool. Right.
Well, I don't think they knew that. I think he was a bit shocked by that as well. But any Bailing could have went in there and done hand-to-hand combat with a Scorpion.
I'm happy with the ruling being that it was a bad plan. So
there is no good plans in this film.
No.
My biggest jump scare was like when the mummies rise up because I wasn't expecting that. Just be shit myself.
I would have nominated the kid, but you've already shouted me down on that one, so I'm happy to go. I also got jump scared by that.
I can see that one coming because the way the camera he does that like, oh, I'll just turn around here, and this makes no sense that he was levitating in front of his face.
Yeah.
My best special effects was the curator's hand getting stripped. When you put it inside the Scorpion, he comes back out as all goopy.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's one of the best actual effects. Worst special effects is one of the most notorious ones in Hollywood is the big guy behind this.
That face.
Definitely. Can't argue with The Rock at the end.
It's horrendous. I've left it blank, but I'm going to add it in now. Best fight, since you've forgotten about it, is Bikini Fight.
Yep.
I had best father figure as Rick, because he does get his son
He
back.
kind of lets his kid go like multiple times, kidnapped. It's not great.
I think it's because he has faith in his son, doesn't it?
That's the first
underlying
mistake.
problem.
Never believe in your kids.
Yeah, but he doesn't ever disappoint. The boy's actually on the ball most of the way through. Like, he's never completely. Yeah, I think, yeah, I would say good father figure because he's trying to save him. But yeah, he doesn't do anything wrong.
Apart from Kiss, Rachel Weisz says he was walking down the bus. You're like, oi, over here.
Yeah. Fucking
Uh,
mummies in the book. Get over here.
Yeah.
My best animal was Horace.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. My most annoying kid was Alex, but that's because he was the only kid and he was purposely being annoying.
He was annoying in some bits, but yeah, like I say, he was supposed to be.
Best hair, Brendan Fraser's. That thing's cool.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I think Aaron Paulson's got pretty good hair.
He had to shave himself like twice a day to stay smooth.
Yeah.
That's another question. It's like, I think it was one of the websites I was looking for research. How is there so little body hair in ancient Egypt? Like, everybody should be like fully hairy. They didn't have razors and all that back then. Anyway, my nominees: best costume. I mean, bikini fight.
An Accident on the Moon. I'm going for purely An Accident on the Moon when she's kind of walking in just before she bangs Arnold Vosloo. That outfit.
Ancient Egyptian female outfits. We'll go for that. I need to come back to that because that spoils some of the other ones. That best score. About the second scene of the film.
It just keeps playing.
Yeah, I was like, second scene. Again, I was watching my headphones on. I was like, is that the Avengers theme song?
Yeah.
I was like, it's like just like it, but they've swapped 2 or 3 notes around. And I looked up, and it's Alan Silvestri did the music for it, which is the guy that did the Avengers music. Oh. So yeah, his score was good, but you're right. It's a catchy. It's not catchy. It's not memorable, but as the film's going on, it
keeps going. Yeah, same song, but kind of different bits and different tones in it.
It is good. Most underused is The Rock. Brendan Fraser should have been in it more, but The Rock they didn't know what they had. Like, look what he is the Hollywood guy now. 10 years.
Well, if you've not watched Scorpion King, there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah. They didn't know what they had. He's most underused. So I'm going to come back to one of my other bests because Danny John Jules, Mr. Echo from Lost, was in this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, aye.
It's the guy mainly who's mainly getting pestered by Alex most of the time on the train.
Is that Mr. Echo?
That's Mr. Echo. So I had him. They'll go back on the subject of him. Best exit. Him in the mansion fight at the beginning. Before the fight's really ended, just grabs his cane.
Oh yes.
And it makes like a whooshing noise, and he struts away down this corridor. So that was best exit. But then, for consistency on this podcast, the second time, a former Big Breakfast presenter was in this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Donna Air, yeah.
Donna Air, randomly. Yeah. So, I don't know. She's not a cameo because nobody knows who she is. Somehow, I can't believe you guys both recognise her as well.
Yep.
So, it's like Donna Air has to be most unexpected. But Mr. Echo, he's in bits and bobs. So, we have just watched, 40 episodes in the last 2 months of Lost, and here he is in this as well. Made me laugh. So, maybe Donna Air for Danny John Jules. I've gone... There's one particularly bad scene of Alex. So Freddie both is worst acting. Now you can say it's not worth it if you like, but he had one real. Basically, his big speech he had at one point, he was really wooden when he was trying to deliver it. So Alex, if you like, can be worst actor, but you could tell me no. And the silence speaks volumes. We've gone worst plan. Worst best effects is The Rock. The worst villain. Is there a bad villain in this?
Not really. That's the problem.
I mean, a lot of build-up to the Scorpion King, and pretty much was going to get killed by one of the 2 people he was fighting. Like,
the biggest problem I have with this is I really enjoyed this film when it first came out. Then I was hyped for Scorpion King. When you watch the Scorpion King, you're like, "It's not a bad guy.
He's a good guy, isn't he?
He's a good guy."
Yeah.
Like, it really takes a turn in this film. It's just this it's out of character. And there's 3 Scorpion King films, and I've watched them all. He's not a bell end until this movie.
Yeah, so therefore, I'll if you're saying Scorpion King, I'm happy to go Scorpion King because I think he's ineffective. His
soul's been twisted
as a villain, and as you say, he's not actually a villain.
Yeah.
There we go. We'll go for Scorpion King there then. That us? Any from you, Andy?
Best product placement: the Natural History Museum in London.
Perfect. I didn't even think of that. Great, Andy. Good stuff. Okay, on to point 9. The moral of the story. What lesson we were supposed to learn from this film? I've got a very obvious one, so I can lead off if you like, which is never ever try to raise the dead. It's the moral of the story. What about you, Chris?
Oh, mine was if a man does not embrace his past, he has no future.
Oh, mine is just don't read from old books.
Yeah.
Never ends well. Summon some bell end.
Always summoning people by accident, aren't we? Right, point 10 on the podcast is a 10-point rating, where we rate the film out of 10 and give it our official 10-point rating. Chris, you picked it, so you go first.
I mean, we've made fun of it the entire film. Like, the CGI hampers this film big time. And it would seem it's very forgettable because I keep forgetting bits of this film.
Yeah.
And the mummy is probably the biggest MacGuffin. So it's like he is less than useless. Like, it's not even like even Jonathan does more than he does. He just comes on, shoots some water at people. It's just pointless.
Sorry, I saw one thing talking about goofs in this film. And one thing that's incorrectly regarded as the goof is that he gets in the river and sends the water at them and it goes psh, and soaks them and all sorts of stuff. And ends up sending them closer to where they're going. Which, like, everyone's like, oh, why did he do that? How did that happen? But apparently within the film, they do actually pass him by and he does it to chase after them. But when you think about it, he did actually send them, like, he gave them more of a head start. And also, I'm not sure how the science of the water works. Like, how did the water, obviously, it's an ancient mummy doing magic, but
it's a river.
It shoots a river, and then the river just stays really high forever. So where's all that water coming from? Where's it going? It didn't make any sense. But yeah, sorry, carry on, Chris.
Yeah, and like we've answered some of the questions, but I was just left with more questions than I was actual thing about. Like it is entertaining, but nowhere near as entertaining as the first one. So it gets a 4 for me.
4 from Chris. Andy, I had you go next. I feel like you've probably seen it more recently than me.
Yep, I love this film. It's a proper guilty pleasure film. It's flawed, but if you understand ancient Egypt or turn your subtitles on, you get way more of the story. It's flawed. The CGI is shit, but there's enough practical effects in there, so it gets a 7 from me.
7. It's a rarity that Andy would defend the subtitles in a film.
I know.
What
did you rate the first one?
6 is what he gave it. The ratings of the first one were Andy a 6, me a 7, and you a 6. I liked the first one the most, apparently. Which is maybe why this film, I wrote this about an hour and a bit into it. Every scene in this film is a fight, a shootout, or a chase. And every line is a quip or a put down.
This is like the perfect film.
Exactly, for you. Films don't normally work like this. It's hard to watch when it's all just go, go, go. And then also when you get a massive chunk of it in Egyptian, which I didn't have subtitles.
Just know you're Egyptian.
Hampered my enjoyment. But anyway, by the end, but it wasn't because I didn't know what was going on. I found myself just not caring. I'm like, I don't care. I really don't care. So it's a 3 for me. It's kind of good that it gets a 3. It probably shouldn't even get a 3 because by the end I was just like, I wanted it to end.
This has 2 films he's canned because he can't understand deaf people and the ancient Egyptian.
I'll point you back to Troll Hunter, Andy, and whatever your score of that was.
Yeah.
And you sabotaged the podcast.
I didn't sabotage it.
And you had subtitles for that. So that means
a season for no subtitles.
A 5 out of 10 is what the mummy gets. So none of us scored it correctly, but I think we're kind of split the difference.
7 is correct.
7 is not correct because it's not better than the first one, and the first one's a 7. So yeah, officially, Mummy 1 is a 6 and Mummy 2 is a 5, which I think is fair. Chris thinks is fair. Andy thinks otherwise. The theme then, Chris has already told us, unfinished business is his theme for the season, starting with doing the sequel to The Mummy. So we don't have to guess.
It's already backfired me because I had a better film for Valentine's Day that I could have done. So my theme's already backfired me big time.
Valentine's Day is past by this point.
Yeah.
It might have been
this week though.
I should have done a rom-com rather than Den of Thieves last week. Might have been the best way to go with Valentine's Day. But anyway, on to next time, which is far from Valentine's Day, and we have The Wheel making its triumphant return. However, as recent times have shown us, a new twist on The Wheel, Andy.
Yeah, so this wheel is going to be modern-ish films. So basically films that have came onto streaming services or we can get within the last month or so.
As new as possible, basically.
Yes, pretty much. Without being too new that Chris can't go to the cinema and see it.
Yeah.
So basically we're limited to streaming services. So we'll get the wheel up and see what's going to land on. There's some random shit in here. So
life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
I feel like we're maybe not going to know what every film is on this. So
nope. So I'll get your thing up.
I will be ready.
Can you see the wheel?
Not quite.
Yeah.
I can now see the wheel.
Right. I'm going to spin the wheel.
Oh yeah, we want to see that one.
Give it a spin.
We're spinning. We're slowing down. Oh.
What's
Oh.
Is that the one with Idris Elba?
It looks like
That's
it's Beast.
That's Idris Elba Beast.
Oh, this is the one with the lion, isn't it? Beast.
Yes, it's
Okay.
Idris Elba versus a lion.
Let's see. So where can everybody see this then? Let's find what streaming service
Is
that's
that
on.
Amazon Prime?
I think you can buy on Amazon Prime. Yes, you can.
So look, yes, I think that is the case. You can get it on Amazon. Apparently YouTube as well. You can buy it on there. Sky Store, etc. So you can watch Beast at home. Amazon Prime. Beast from 2022, which will probably have to be the most modern movie ever. I think it's more modern than Prey that we did. I think Prey was the middle of last year.
Yes, the newest movie.
Could be the newest movie we've done.
Prey was, well, it will be now, but Prey we did that the day it came out.
We did it. Yeah, it was the quickest, but Beast came out after it, so it's still the newest movie.
So there you go.
The whole point of this new wheel. It will be the newest-ish movie.
As new as we can get. So there you go. That was a spin of 20 or whatever it was on the wheel. Beast, search it out, and we'll see you in 7 days' time for the 10 Point Podcast.